Let's get some analysis now from William Lawrence, who joins us live from Washington. He's a professor of political science at American University. Professor, thank you so much for being with us here on TRT World today. Now, it's been a major accomplishment to get both sides together working on getting grain out of Ukraine, but it really all comes down to the implementation of that agreement that was signed here in Istanbul.
Yes, this is a fascinating and really important development. Some of the most optimistic are saying it's practicing ceasefire. I mean, it's sort of the beginning, perhaps, of the end of this conflict. In that once the two sides agree that they need to cooperate to accomplish goals like this and many other goals together, then we have the beginning of the end of hostilities. In terms of the global food security, there's been sort of conflicting analysis, but it's definitely had a positive effect on global food prices, which are coming down as a result of the Istanbul deal and the setting up of the center. And forecasts for 2022 for global food security are looking better because of this deal. Now people are starting to worry about 2023. Already, since the global inflation and the inputs, fertilizer shortages, and other things are making the 2023 outlook begin to look dire. But the 2022 grain that's been already produced needs to move, and this has got it moving, and it's just great for everybody, particularly countries in Africa that get so much of their food from Russia and Ukraine.
Right, and this deal came with some concerns that both sides have voiced, and Ukraine is particularly concerned that these safety corridors will be used by the Kremlin to target those very crucial ports, especially Odessa being one of the main ones that will be used to export the grain. Can we expect Russia to go back on their word and use this situation to their advantage, despite what we heard from the defense minister saying that they won't do so?
Well, they already have twice. They've already shelled two of the ports, saying they were hitting military targets, but affecting the port infrastructure. And that raises a whole bunch of questions about, are the three Ukrainian ports being used for this in the type of shape that's needed? One of them says it could be ready in a couple of days, but the other two, it might take a couple of weeks before they're fully up and running. I'm thinking about something else as well. One of the main things keeping the Russians out of Odessa are the mines, and the mines are going to have to be moved and evaded in order for the humanitarian shipments to go through. And there's a risk here if things break down in terms of Russia's designs on Odessa, that they could use these corridors to attack Odessa. So a lot to be balanced and negotiated here and guaranteed. And I'm sure the UN and the US are going to be playing a major role in terms of surveillance to make sure that the Russians aren't taking advantage in the ways that we're concerned about.
You said that many have described this deal as the beginning of the end of this conflict, which is quite optimistic, given that the war has been going on for several months now. Do you expect peace talks to come next if the two sides can work successfully and peacefully in getting the grain out?
Not in the short term. So if in terms of the way we study war, we're in that middle phase where the initial gambits have failed, and that middle phase where each side thinks it can still win. And then that final phase is when each side has realized it can't win everything it wanted, and it starts sort of positioning itself for the final peace deal. We're not in that third phase yet. We're still in that second phase. But it's very important that these relationships between the Ukrainians and the Russians are developing, that the economies of both countries will be positively affected by this deal. And as I said, the most optimistic assessments are saying this is the beginning and the end, in that the negotiation for the ceasefire will look like this. It's a good chance it'll be in Turkey. Some of these same players might be involved, and the types of guarantees that make humanitarian assistance possible also make all types of humanitarian protection of civilians and the guarantees around a ceasefire possible. So yes, it will look like this. When it happens is anybody's guess, but I'm suspecting this war will go on for many months more, and maybe even a few years. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Hopefully. Professor, thank you so much for joining us here on TRT World and sharing that insight with us.
Pleasure.